Welcome to the deep dive. So today we're taking a bit of a sharp detour from, the usual macroeconomics and defense policy.
The very sharp detour.
We're diving headfirst into just a wild piece of natural history, and it's all based on some notes you brought in from a pretty unexpected place.
That's right. The source material is from a trip to an aquarium specialty store.
Okay.
A store primarily known for cichlids, African rift lake fish.
Yeah.
But the real discovery, it happened in a totally different tank.
Right.
It was the sighting of this creature that, well, it just instantly confused and fascinated the observer.
And we are talking about the Mormyrus longirostris, commonly called the freshwater dolphin fish. And that name, as you know, is the entire puzzle right there.
It really is.
When you look at the photos, the visual evidence from the source material, the resemblance to a marine dolphin it's genuinely jarring.
It's astonishing. I mean, biologically, it's a fish.
Yeah.
Taxonomically, it's closer to an arapaima than, say, a bottlenose dolphin. But visually, the mimicry is it's almost perfect.
So our mission today is to move beyond that initial shock. We want to understand the deep biological mechanism that lets a fish adopt the shape of a highly evolved mammal.
Right.
What does this teach us about, nature's greatest shortcuts?
So we're going to unpack the specific, highly specialized features that drive this resemblance, especially the function of that incredible snout.
Okay.
Then we'll dive deep into the science of convergent evolution to show just how vast the biological distance really is here.
And then what?
And finally, we'll look at why these specialized African fish are so challenging and so rare in the aquarium trade.
That structural similarity, I think that's where we need to start.
Got it.
Let's unpack this. If you're seeing this fish for the first time, your eye goes right to the head.
Instantly.
The source material really emphasizes this, pointing out the fish has and I'm quoting here, a highly elongated, trunk-like snout and forehead.
And that striking resemblance, as the source notes, it all stems from that cranial structure.
That rounded head.
Exactly, that rounded, almost bulbous forehead that tapers down into a long, downturned mouth. It gives it that unmistakable silhouette. The source calls it strikingly reminiscent of a marine dolphin.
Yeah. It's not just a passing similarity. It feels engineered. But if we dig a bit deeper, what is the function of that snout? It can't just be for looks.
Absolutely not. And this is where it gets really interesting, connecting the form to the function.
Okay.
This fish belongs to the family Mormyrida, the elephant fishes. And that long snout, it's not for hydrodynamics, not primarily. It is fundamentally a complex sensory organ.
So less about smelling, more about sensing.
Precisely. They are famous for being electroreceptive.
Electroreceptive.
Yeah, the snout is packed with specialized cells that let the fish generate a weak electrical field around its body.
Wow.
And it can sense any tiny distortion in that field. It's how they find prey, navigate in murky river water, and even communicate with each other where eyesight is, basically useless.
That's a huge piece of the puzzle. So it separates this from just being a fast swimmer. The head isn't just streamlined for speed, which the source does confirm, calling it a fast swimmer. It's also the perfect shape for maintaining and reading an electrical field in a dense river environment.
Correct. The fast swimming and the sensory needs, they merge. The electrical pulse generator is in its tail, and the snout is the receiver array. It's a highly specialized piece of biological engineering.
I see.
So when you combine that specific function with the hydrodynamic needs of a large, fast fish, the resulting shape, that dolphin silhouette, it becomes an optimized blueprint.
And our source material mentions the observer spent 20 minutes just trying to get a clear picture, which tells you this isn't some sluggish pond fish, it's a freshwater torpedo. And that immediate confusion is the key, isn't it? You see the dolphin shape, you think mammal, but the real mechanism is pure, highly evolved African fish using a sixth sense to survive.
And that leads us directly to the core scientific concept here.
The one that bridges this enormous gap between the two species. Here's where it gets really interesting. How does evolution create the same visual outcome for creatures separated by, hundreds of millions of years of history?
The central idea here is convergent evolution. We've mentioned the term, but it's important to grasp the sheer scale of the convergence we're talking about.
And the source defines it pretty clearly. It's when organisms that are not closely related independently develop similar features or characteristics. So for you, the listener, it's like parallel problem solving in nature.
And we have to reiterate the distinction. The Mormyrus longirostris is in the order Osteoglossiforms.
Which is?
It's one of the most ancient groups of bony fish alive today.
Yeah.
Marine dolphins, on the other hand, are cetaceans. They're mammals that evolved from land-dwelling, hoofed animals.
Okay, to put that biological gulf into perspective for everyone, we're not talking about a different type of fish. We're talking about two completely separate classes of vertebrates. They don't share a recent common ancestor, maybe something incredibly primitive from hundreds of millions of years ago.
Exactly. And when you look at the internal structure, it just highlights the magnitude of this convergence. Dolphins have lungs, these fish have gills.
Right.
Mammals have complex inner ears for hearing in air. This fish uses lateral lines and, these highly evolved electrical sensors. They built their complexity from totally different starting blocks.
And yet they solve the problem of how to be fast and effective in water with the same external solution. So why this specific shape? Why would the streamlined body and this distinct head architecture be the winning design not once, but twice?
Well, it speaks to the brutal efficiency of physics, of hydrodynamics. If your goal is speed and minimizing drag in water, evolution seems to favor a design that minimizes turbulence.
But lots of fast fish look like sharks or barracudas, right? Much more torpedo-like, less bulbous. What makes this particular shape, the long, rounded snout, the winning design here?
That's a critical question. So the shark or barracuda model is optimized for explosive linear speed, just straight line attacks.
Got it.
The dolphin model, and by extension the Mormyrus model, it offers speed combined with superior maneuverability and, importantly, the ability to house large, complex sensory organs.
Ah, so a big brain in the dolphin.
A big brain in the dolphin,
Oh.
and the complex electrical receiving apparatus in the fish. The form follows the function, and in this case, the function demanded a sophisticated sensor platform and speed.
It's almost like nature just decided, if you need to be a fast, highly sensitive predator in the water, this is the body plan you get. Doesn't matter if you're breathing air or water.
And we see this pattern repeated across deep time. Think of the ichthyosaurs.
The marine reptiles from the age of dinosaurs.
Exactly. Extinct marine reptiles from the Mesozoic. They were reptiles, entirely separate from mammals and modern bony fish, yet they evolved an almost identical dolphin-like body shape.
So that's triple convergence.
Triple convergence across reptiles, mammals, and fish, all achieving the same hydrodynamic perfection.
That really drives home the fascinating observation from the source, the pure delight of seeing this principle in action. Connecting a fish in an African river to a giant marine lizard that died out 100 million years ago.
It just underscores that the environmental pressure is a stronger shaping force than millions of years of distinct evolutionary history. The physics of water demands conformity.
Incredible. Okay, now, let's shift gears a little. Let's talk about the practical side of this fish. If it's so specialized, so optimized, how easy is it to actually find one? It was in a specialty store, which suggests it's rare.
Yes, and if we look at the origin of the Mormyrus longirostris, we know its natural habitats are exclusively in the river systems of Africa.
Places like the Congo Basin.
Often the Congo Basin or similar large, deep river environments. This immediately creates logistical complexity.
The source material brought up the suspicion that these fish are not farm-bred. Not easily, anyway, like, say, a guppy. If they were easy to breed, you'd see them everywhere.
That suspicion is extremely well-founded, and it goes right back to the fish's specialized biology. The reasons they're hard to breed in indoor environments, it's not just one thing. It's a whole constellation of specific needs.
Okay, so give us the specifics. What are the main barriers?
First, size. These are big fish. They can reach up to 3 feet in the wild.
3 feet? Wow.
Yeah, so breeding them requires massive specialized tanks that mimic long stretches of river. Second, their diet is specialized, often complex, live foods, which is costly and hard to scale up.
So space and food are major hurdles, but I have a feeling the biggest barrier goes back to that incredible snout we were talking about, the electroreception.
You've hit the nail on the head. Breeding often involves really complex social and electrical signaling. The source says they are challenging to breed in indoor environments. And a major theory points to the difficulty of replicating a perfectly quiet electrical environment.
A quiet electrical environment.
Yes. To breed successfully, they need very specific water parameters, the right social dynamic, and it's all communicated through these delicate electrical pulses.
So if the background noise, from pumps, heaters, filtration systems in an aquarium, if that interferes with their natural electrical conversation,
they just won't initiate spawning behaviors.
So it's an inability to communicate, not an inability to physically reproduce.
Precisely.
Yeah.
You don't just need the right chemical environment, you need the right sensory environment. And that level of technical control is extremely expensive. It's prohibitive for large-scale commercial breeding.
Which means, for the listener who might actually see one of these amazing creatures in a shop, the conclusion about where it came from is almost inevitable.
The logical summary is that these specimens are, quote, most likely wild-caught,
Wow.
imported directly from their complex, demanding natural habitats in Africa. They represent a significant investment in specialized transport and care.
That adds such a profound layer of appreciation. That single fish, carrying the story of convergent evolution on its head, has likely made a long, difficult journey from an electrically noisy, powerful African river.
It's a remarkable package. An ancient fish lineage, adopting the body plan of a mammal, and surviving a modern journey across continents, all driven by the relentless pressures of aquatic physics.
So what does this all mean? If we put all the pieces together for you, we started with that visual shock of the Mormyrus longirostris and its elongated, trunk-like snout.
Then we immediately deepen that by identifying the mechanical purpose of that snout. It's a high-tech sensory organ, a biological sonar system for navigation and finding prey in murky African rivers.
Third, we applied the grand principle of convergent evolution, showing how the universal pressures of hydrodynamics forced a creature from this ancient lineage to adopt the efficient, dolphin-like body plan.
Right, achieving the same success as unrelated mammals and even extinct reptiles like the ichthyosaurs.
And finally, we connected the logistics of actually getting one to its specialized biology. We concluded that the expense and rarity are a direct result of their complex needs, especially that electrical signaling.
Which makes them nearly impossible to breed commercially, so they have to be imported as wild-caught specimens from Africa.
The larger implication here seems to be that nature is less of an artist inventing endless unique shapes and more of an engineer. An engineer relying on a very short list of incredibly successful blueprints.
That's a great way to put it.
The dolphin body plan is just one of the most successful designs in the history of aquatic life.
It reveals a beautiful constraint. When conditions are universal like the physics of water, the evolutionary outcomes tend to converge on the optimal solution, no matter what the starting material is.
That's a compelling thought. You know, if two distant species evolved to look like a dolphin because that body plan is so successful, it makes you wonder, what other common shapes or traits might we find emerging again and again across totally unrelated organisms? We've talked about speed, but what's the most efficient blueprint for gliding through air, for tunneling through sand, or for deep-sea bioluminescence? That's your assignment for further exploration. Where else does evolution repeat its greatest hits?
We look forward to seeing what you find.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the freshwater dolphin fish. We'll see you next time.